Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket, or you just happy to see me?
Hello, everyone, and we are back for our weekly stream, Talk Nerdy to Us, with my lovely co-host, My Nerdy Home, and me. And today, for our stream, we're pretty much going to be talking about nothing but Cobra Kai, because for some reason, it's trending number 3. Go figure, it's trending number 3. I wonder why, but before I say hello to the chat, I want to also say hello to another guest we have on our stream for this week, Steve Kenobi, who also watched season 3, and he also loves Cobra Kai the same way we do. So basically, good evening, Steve.
Good evening to both of you. Yes, I grew up in the 80s, and a part of me is still there. So Cobra Kai is excellent.
Part of him.
Yeah, let's say I could identify with a few of the boomer scenes with Lawrence.
Yeah, I was just he DM'd me that, and I was like, I wonder why I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into details because I don't want people to know.
Yeah, but some of them hit a little too close to home, according to you and your DM, pretty much.
They did.
So, but anyway, yes. So again, basically, we're going to be talking about. We might touch on the first 2 seasons. So if you haven't, I'm hoping that if you're watching this stream, so they did put in the title spoilers, and I did forewarn you in the Twitter tweet that I did that you are forewarned. We are going to be talking about spoilers. If you don't care about spoilers, fine, stick around. I assume everyone is caught up if you are in this stream, because we will be touching on little bits of maybe season 1 and 2 as we go into 3. We're going to talk about our impressions of season 3, the 3 senseis, pretty much. Now we are in a situation where we have all 3 senseis. Okay, we'll go into this a little bit later, because I don't want to touch on anything just yet, but the 3 senseis as well as the teenagers, because their arcs also changed. Their arcs shifted kind of in a big way by the end of the season.
Yeah.
And what we hope and we expect, based on what was set up in this season, to see in season 4. And I can't believe we have to wait, at least a year, maybe? I don't know, until season 4 hits.
It's too long. We have to wait too long. It's too long.
Too long, especially because this is one of the rare instances where there's actually a good show on nowadays, pretty much. But I'm going to say hello to the chat, and then we will basically go right into the discussion. I was telling Steve early before you came on, Steph, that we'll basically start out with our impressions of the season overall, and any moments that maybe stuck out to us as far as favorites, and then we'll move on from there. So first up, we have Chris Arcella. Heyo, good evening. And I had to approve this message from Sunny and Brave Megatron, because apparently the Google moderator doesn't like if you write boobies.
Okay,
I had to go in and approve this message. Pretty much.
Use zeros, I suppose.
Yeah, you. I don't know. They're weird. I don't know. They're weird about that sometimes. But anyway, good evening, Chris, Anthony, and Brave Megatron, Drunk 3POs, Fedora. Hey, Mara and My Nerdy Home and Chad. Good evening to you. I know I saw Trey Courtney. Hale. Good evening to you. A little bit late, but I'm not Gary from Nerdrotics late. It was just late this time, because I was kind of chatting in the back with my co-host, because we all 3 loved this season, so we kind of lost a little bit of track of time. Yes, when is she early? Not really my fault all the time.
Not mine either.
Yeah. So, but this time it kind of was. I will admit. Alex McCarthy, howdy, Mara and Steph, how's it going? Team John Kreese, well, to each their own. I'm more like Team Johnny Lawrence, but that's just me. But there it is. $5 super chat from Chris Arcella. Steph, you gotta show Mara the Ryan drawing. I think I saw that a little bit earlier on Twitter. You're talking about the Pinocchio one?
The Pinocchio one, I think. That was great. That was fantastic.
Gregory, is it about the contrary and why there's no Asian in Cobra Kai? I'm assuming you mean characters. Well, if you watch this season, You've watched the season. There's really no reason for them to complain now about
There's
that.
2 or 3.
Yeah, and
4,
well,
actually 5.
yeah. So there's no reason to complain now, but they'll find another reason, guaranteed. Cue ball, hello, good evening. This one I'm
It's very simple. The reason they're going to complain is because the show is popular, the show is beloved, and it stars 2 white men.
Yeah. Oh my God, the horror. Straight white men, the opportunity, pretty much. So there it is.
You know what? Women want a guy that'll sweep them off their feet. So Johnny Lawrence is perfect.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh.
Some of the moves that are performed were with leg sweeps and things like that. I know them. I'm like, oh, I know that move.
Oh.
I know that move. And yeah, because I'm technically should be a first-degree brown belt. They never tested me at my old dojo, and then the whole pandemic shit started. So I'm a second-degree brown belt in judo. So I know leg sweeps, throws, pins, locks, strikes, and kicks, pretty much.
Mara,
I know how to tackle people to break their leg.
And
soccer.
Just FYI, Steph, whenever we do finally like meet basically in real life,
you have to throw her.
There is a lock I can show you. So if a guy or a bull lesbian puts her arm around you in a bar and you don't want them to, I can show you a lock to get their arm off of you and put them in a lock. I know that shit, and I'm probably scared half the guys.
Is it literally an arm bar?
Yeah, it is.
What is that?
What?
It's an arm bar.
Arm bar is when you lock the joint and like lock the arm and like put pressure on it, so you can get them basically to do whatever it is you want them to do at that point.
Even if like the person is like super tall and I'm all the way down here.
Yeah.
You can't. I can show you wrist locks. There is a wrist lock that'll get a guy on his knees, pretty much.
Sounds like marriage.
There you go. Mara and Steph ready to sweep the leg tonight. Yep, I know all about sweeping the leg, but good to see you, Dread Saber Phil. Jumped on me. Sorry. And a $7.99 Australian super chat from Daniel James. Hello, my favorite. Hello, Steve. Hope you all had a great New Year's. I had a relaxing one, pretty much. I had a relaxing one. Mara's never late, nor is she early. She rises precisely when she means to. Yes, I do. I pretty much do. Ryan is staying away because fuck spoilers. Well, to each their own.
He's just now starting on season 1.
You such a boomer. Keep going. Like seriously, it's like 10 episodes a season. You binge them in like each season in 5 hours. You could do both. Like you could do like seriously all 3 seasons if you wanted to in a day if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is your excuse?
He probably saw that everybody liked it, and so he was like, "I don't like it now."
Yeah, I don't like it now. I'm not going to conform.
Exactly.
I think it's pretty stupid for the controversy. As Asian myself, would be pretty racist stereotypes to put people of my race in every movie revolving around kung fu, karate, taekwondo. Yeah, it would, because then they would complain about only like Asian people are like this. Only Asian people like it's kind of like in the yes. I'm not saying that classic Hollywood is perfect by any stretch of the imagination, because there was a stretch where Asian actors were either villains, like it was during the World War II propaganda type films, or servants. So it'd be kind of like a reverse, where it's like, oh, we're going to correct all that and put them only in these types of movies. It would make no sense either way.
It's a bit like that with Norwegians as well, because of the Vikings. So every time you see someone from Norway in the movie, he drinks a lot and then fights a lot.
Well, that's your typical evening, isn't it?
No.
Like just simple no. Subhuman 84. Good evening, people. Okay, so Lady Toriel, just like a finger come along. Am I reading that correctly?
I think she's referring to the wrist lock.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, finger. Yeah, you can get them but basically, like turn the wrist a certain way, you can get a person down on his or her knees, no matter how tall they are.
Yeah, there's a shitload of nerves in there.
Yeah.
So I know this because I basically just before Christmas I busted my wrist and I did everything I possibly could to it except break it. So things are torn, ripped, stuff. Fun.
Fun times had by all, pretty much.
Yep.
But we will touch into that because there's some part where a certain sensei teaches Daniel pressure points, and that's another thing we learned.
That was really neat too.
Yeah, like pressure points, because there are pressure points on the human body, which, like the wrist lock, can do. I won't say serious damage, but to actually get someone to tear up a little bit because of depending on where you hit them. I'm probably scaring half the people in the chat, but I'm saying that I know this stuff because
Mara could kill you.
I studied judo for basically 2+ decades, so there it is. Like off and on in high school, college, and then hopefully I can progress to the point where I do actually have my black belt. So, but like I said,
I want to be like you, Mara. I want to be like you.
There you go. So I know how to shoot and I know how to kill someone with my bare hands. So there you go.
Mara's my hero.
There you go. I'm like someone's hero tonight. I'm at least someone's hero tonight. But so now that I've said hello to the chat, basically, start with my co-host. Overall impressions of the season. Like, what did you think of the season? Any moments that stood out to you in particular?
I seriously enjoyed this season. When Cobra Kai first started out, I was like, okay, they're I don't know. What are we doing here? I was a little bit standoffish with it. Just because I had to keep watching it. You know, it came across as like, dude, are you seriously, you don't have like an iPhone? What is the internet? What is Facebook? Like, seriously, you're in this little bubble of yours. You know, but as it kept going and you met all of the characters, it's written so well and done, and it's done so well in a way that like it pays tribute to the movies, and it does not hinder them. It does not God, what it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't make the movies look dumb, you know? It's just like this was the past. This is the past. This is our past, the Karate Kid. And now, you know, this is what happens to everybody in the future. This season, I absolutely loved. Actually, it's in every season, but I love how Mr. Miyagi is kind of like inadvertently the heart of almost all of the lessons, especially for Daniel. You know, I love that. I love how he's like the heart and kind of the strength of Daniel and Daniel's daughter, Sam.
Oh, yeah, like Pat Morita is like, you know, not with us anymore, but he still finds a way.
Exactly. They still find a way to honor him in the show, and they honor him in such a beautiful way.
Would you agree if I said he's actually in it, in a sense?
Exactly. They honor him in such a beautiful way that like he's a part of the show without actually being a part of the show. You know, like he's the heart of all of Daniel's lessons and things that he learns. And even his daughter. So I love that. I love that like they have new characters in the show that they brought in because, you know, these are the older characters. We have some new students, some new Karate Kid students, but it doesn't take away from the movies. So that's what
I think actually it expands upon them because like, when you like look at the movies within a vacuum, like it's basically, okay, one, it's like not one and done, but like one ends here, boom, like, and two ends here, boom, three ends here, boom, and like it doesn't exactly. These seasons take you from those movies and say, hey, this stuff that happened here still affects what Daniel and Johnny are going through now.
Yeah, exactly. And I God, it's so, they do it so well. They do it so well that it kind of makes you angry that other franchises and other movies, like they can't do it as well as this. It's like, it's so easy to do. Look at it. Look at how well they're doing with Cobra Kai. Look at how many people love Cobra Kai because they're like, they know what they have in the Karate Kid. They know how much people love the Karate Kid, And it's such a simple idea. It's like they watched that YouTube video of like Daniel's the real bully, and they made a show about it. you know, and they made a show about it, and I love that. I love that point of view, that it's from Johnny's point of view. But the season overall, I think learning a little bit more about Kreese was really cool.
And we're gonna get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I loved learning a little bit more about Kreese, and I was worried there for a second that I was gonna start to like emphasize empathize with him. With him. But they actually turned it in a way, and I was like, oh no, they're gonna make the villain, they're gonna make you like feel bad for the villain. What? He's supposed to be like the villain. Yeah. Come on, he's supposed to have like this awkward, like comedic villain inside. You know what I mean?
There's not he's not really supposed to exactly relate to him.
Exactly. That's what I thought that they were going for. Yeah. But then as you continue, it's like, oh, okay, never mind. Never mind. That's not what we're doing at all. So I really love that they gave you that backstory with Kreese, and that it's gonna move forward in season 4.
Yeah.
With hopefully with another character.
Yeah. Or two.
Yeah. Hopefully with another character or two. And not only already have they shown us some backstory with hopefully a future character, but they've expanded on John Kreese, because we don't really know much about him other than he's Johnny's old sensei and he's a garbage guy.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like they kind of set it up that you knew he was a Vietnam veteran in season 2, but at the same time it's like, okay, fine, it's they don't exactly gloss over it, but it's like that's all we really knew about other than what we saw in the movies. But in this season, it's like, oh, you think you know about him? Well, let's like kind of like dive a little bit deeper into how he came to be what we know Kreese as. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But Stieg.
Yeah. Oh, and how it ends. I'm sorry. How the season ends, it really pissed me off. I was like, what? But that's just it. That's it.
We'll go into that a little bit later, because I'm going to try to like progress from overall impressions to senseis, the kids and so forth, and what we hope to see in season 4. But Stieg, I know you just finished watching season 3. You're loving the show pretty much as well. What are your overall impressions of it?
Well, I guess they did everything perfectly, honoring what came before. And I don't think I've ever seen a reboot or whatever that honors what came before as good as this did. Because the whole Okinawa thing, you could say it's a bit of fan service, but it's done so well, and it fits with the story. When Elizabeth shows up, you even get that date. You even get an 80s montage date.
Oh yes, you do.
Yeah, that's very true. You do.
Yeah. And they actually gave Kreese a little tip of the hat too in the middle of the season, when Daniel's wife confronts him and she calls him Rambo. Kreese was in Rambo too. So it's. I wish every franchise would do it this well,
Exactly.
Because all it takes is a good writer who loves the source material to get stuff like this done. That's all it takes, and nobody messing up.
It's that simple, and other franchises can't seem to figure out how not to do it. I just want to respond to this real fast. It's implied he's lying, but I don't think they exactly change it in season 3. I think they kind of if you listen to some of the dialogue, it's implied that he did a lot of missions that were very, very, very top secret, hush hush. So that's stuff that probably has not been declassified yet. So people going into looking at his military history probably gonna be like, "Oh, you didn't really do much, or you're lying about this." In reality, given the missions he was on, probably hasn't been declassified yet.
Right. Yeah. Because he was with like a team of 4 guys.
Yeah. So,
and another thing that struck me is I don't think his background is gonna, the flashbacks. I don't think that they're gonna stop in season. Well, with this season, because he did mention something happened to his mom, so I think they're going to delve into that a bit in season 4.
And I also think that they, with his mom and the girl he was seeing as well.
Yeah. There's really more to that. Like, there's a little bit more to that, and like, again, we'll go into that when we talk about him. But like, his commanding officer was such a dick in the way he told him about what happened.
And also, it was right before that combat, so who even knows if he was lying or not? So I'm that can be a story in itself, that his commander was lying and she's actually alive.
Well, he did mention where, though, so I think that confirmed that it was true. It was in Pasadena,
or that she was in an accident but that she's not dead.
Oh yeah, that could be.
So it confirms that like it happened necessarily, but not in the way that he said. But again, like, we're only speculating at this point. I want to say thank you for the $25 super chat from Michael Tinnen. Hi Mara, great show. Just wanted to wish you the most prosperous New Year. Thank you so much. He talked about certain things that happened and was called out by one of the students as being from the wrong war, Korea versus Vietnam. So was it Korea? But anyway, I know like he was called out there, but I'm saying, like, I don't think they exactly. I think they planned to make him a liar, but changed their mind on it. Maybe, who knows? Or maybe he's I don't know. Maybe he didn't say anything necessarily. I don't know. Like, I'm saying, like, I'm not exactly trying to write this for them, but being a military vet myself and what I had to do in the military, I know there's certain information. Just to give you an idea. I was an intelligence operations specialist, which means I got to look at secret squirrel type stuff when I was in the military. And until it gets declassified, do you know what the soonest I can tell anybody that I read was? What age I had to be? I will be 94 when I can finally start revealing stuff that I read when I was 22.
Oh, wow.
So that's how long this shit lasts. And unless it's declassified before then, I can't talk about anything I read.
I'm gonna hold back some comments.
Yes. So I mean, yes, maybe they started out that way, but then they were like, you know what? There's a way that we can work around this based on what like the military protocols there are with intelligence. So we'll see how they handle it in season 4. He was called out for being part of Desert Storm. He didn't re-enlist. Okay, there it is. So that's where he was called out for. He was called out for that. But there is a way that he was actually, yes, a Vietnam veteran, because he has the flag. He has a picture of his 2 friends who served with him during the Vietnam War and also was part of the mission. So there it is.
One of them is silver, isn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And yes, another thing that we will get into very, very shortly. So basically, those are my overall impression of the season is going from season 1 to 2. I loved season 1. I loved how it set up everything. Season 2 dipped slightly, but it was still a very good season. And I think this season tied up a good number of loose ends. So I'm basically it's just like kind of went back up for me in terms of certain characters that were introduced. As Steph mentioned, how they are able to incorporate Mr. Miyagi to the point where he actually is a presence in this show, not just like, hey, remember this that happened back, during this first movie or the second movie sort of situation. He is still there, basically smacking Daniel upside the head and going, this is the lesson I'm trying to teach you right here, pretty much. And I love how they're able to do that. It's basically respecting the old and just respecting the old that came before and introducing the new.
Yeah.
Forward, and how they were able to do that in other franchises aren't for some reason. I have no idea why, but this, I'm hoping this is at least a wake-up call for some in the entertainment industry that's saying, hey, this is what we want. This is what we want. It's
not going to wake anyone up, sadly, because I've spoken to a few people that know people, and big companies like Disney and whatever else, they don't hire people that know the franchise. because people that are huge fans, they don't want them because they will contradict what the company wants.
If I can remember anything Lord Vader, I might. But when I'm reached 94, chances are I will be lucky if I remember what I had for breakfast that morning. So.
Well, it's only in 14 years.
Oh, shut
Whoa.
Trey Courtney, thank you. Salute me for my service. Thank you very much. Yeah, in a way, I could see where you're coming from. It was a little bit cringe in some parts, but like I said, I'm coming from it from a military perspective and like gauging and interacting with multiple different personalities in the military. And I will say, like from my experience, there are people like that in the military. There are people like that. I was Air Force, so we're not exactly the craziest of the branches, but if
You're not.
But if you go like say to the Marines, holy shit. That's all I'm gonna say. Holy shit. So basically like that reenactment there, I'm like looking at it going, you're a Marine. I can tell. That's what Marines are like because of my experience with them. So because I've had experience serving with the other three branches, the Army, the Navy, and the Marines. And the Marines are a special breed. For one of nice way of putting it. I love all the branches where we basically have backs. So
I was in the Army.
I got that, but we're the ones that stay in the hotels where the Army stays in cots in the desert. So that's a smart one.
We have 12 months of mandatory Army service in Norway, or military service. Really, I was in the Army. You probably outrank me big time, though.
Probably. Had to sign the top secret non-disclosure agreement in 1986. So pretty much. So you can't talk about anything you saw or read.
I was my job was to look after generals when they were out in the field. Guard duty galore, digging little trenches, and when you see action movies and war movies and stuff, there's always this soldier walking past the tent they're trying to get into, and he gets shot by a crossbow or something. That's me. I'm the guy walking past the tent getting shot by a crossbow.
You are the designated bullet catcher, pretty much.
Yep. Get sniped from the bushes or something, and Rambo runs into the tent, kills the bad guy.
Yep. So okay. Well, that's our overall impression. So I can't do a 3-hour stream tonight like we did for
Wonder Woman.
So we kind of have to keep this relatively short. We might do another thing a little bit later where we can actually break down certain segments of this season and maybe the other 2 seasons. Melissa Lord, I was in the U.S. Army. Hail Mara Jade.
Yay!
Like I said, I basically served alongside all the branches, and I love each one. Like I said, Marines are a special breed, but love everyone that I served with. So basically, now that we've given our overall impressions, let's basically segue into the 3 sensei, essentially the core. That's become the core of the show now. You have Daniel LaRusso, you have Johnny Lawrence, but I think Johnny Lawrence is arguably the star of the show.
He's the star of the show, yeah.
And John Kreese. You have now essentially right now the holy trinity of senseis. Yes, John Kreese is basically messed up in the head, but the holy trinity of senseis from the Karate Kid movies. And I'd have to say, basically, this season in a way was Johnny Lawrence finding himself, because he lost his way at the end of season 2. He kind of reverted to old habits following the end of season 2 and what happened with his one student Miguel. And this was basically him having to pick himself back up and find himself. I think is a little too kind of artsy way of putting it, but basically he had to essentially grow up in this season.
Would you say that Johnny Lawrence's growth and storyline in this season mirrors Daniel's storyline in this season too? Because he has a lot of growth as well. And they kind of come together at the end.
They do come together at the end, but I feel like Johnny's is more. I want to say personal growth. Daniel does have some personal growth, but I don't really necessarily like his growth this season, Daniel's, just
So
because
maybe Johnny grows and Daniel rediscovers.
Maybe, but I think like a lot of the personal growth happened on Johnny's end, because if you look at his progression from how he reverts earlier in this season from season 2, because he was just finding his footing. He was just basically finding his footing by the end of season 2, and then all hell broke loose and all the shit went down, and now he's back to what we not entirely back to, but he's reverting to old habits. He's drinking. He's getting into basically parking lot brawls. He's getting arrested and things like that. And like this is like season 3 was him like having to like how his pastor friend keeps like correcting him like, I'm not a priest. Like, you had like basically it's all about, I think that lesson in that sermon was like forgiveness. And Johnny Lawrence essentially had to forgive himself. He had to forgive like the situation.
He had to come to terms with a lot of things. He had to come
to terms with a lot of what he dealt with, not just recently in these seasons, but from the past.
Yeah. He had to come to terms with things. He had to make peace with a lot of things. He had to find closure with a lot of things in the past.
Yeah.
And I think Allie helped with that in their episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think she really helped with that. I think that his one-on-one time with Miguel and how much it meant to him to spend so much time with him in his rehabilitation. Just the fact that that he plugged in his computer and Googled something to help Miguel's rehabilitation, it meant something, because this is a guy that's just like, hey,
how to fix legs.
Because this is a guy that was like, the computer ran out of batteries. Like, it needs new batteries.
You said it was wireless. Like, that's not what
so I mean, just the fact that he took the computer out, plugged it in, and Googled something to help with his students' recovery. It shows a lot of growth, that he cares more than just for himself.
Yeah, especially like this. Like, if you look at like progression from season 1, like this is also the kid that he was basically like, I don't want anything to do with you. Like, I don't want like in season 1, where like
like when he meets him, he's just like, oh great, more immigrants.
Yeah, more.
As soon as he meets him. Yeah. He doesn't want to interact with people. He's just like, it's just me. This is my life. This is all that matters. It's just me. I don't want any new people in my life. Just leave me alone. And now that he's actually become this sensei, this role model for kids, he oh yeah, that's right.
The baby oil, like the baby oil is gonna get over stuff. No, we're not gonna use baby oil.
But just the fact that he had that moment of, okay, it's not all about me. It is about more than just me. I built this, and I let people down, and I can't just wallow in my own self-pity. It has to do with more than just me. It affected more than myself. So that whole, when he went to the school and him trying to look for a new dojo, trying to rebuild it, it's just a lot of it's just a lot of growth, personal growth for him, showing that he does care more about himself. And he's letting a lot more people in his life, and he's trying. He is trying. Whereas before, he didn't try. He didn't try at all. And this time he's actually he's trying. He gives a shit. He gives a shit enough to try. Even when it comes to his son, there wasn't. I didn't like when it came to Johnny and his son. I didn't really like that there wasn't a lot there this season with them. There was more Johnny and Miguel, and it was like, okay, dude, what about your son? Like, really, you missed your visit with your son. So, and you could tell like how much it meant to his kid that, like, oh my God, my dad's coming to visit me. Like, what? And then he missed it. So Johnny's kind of being pulled in all of these different directions this year. And but he's trying his best to do his best. He's trying. That's what I like about it. He's trying. which was really good. But yeah, what the whole thing with him and his son this year, it's the only thing that I kind of didn't like because there wasn't much to it. And the fact that he kind of got upset that Robbie went with Kreese, it's like, what did you expect? You weren't there.
A little bit. But like that, I think it's also kind of like Robbie, in a way, was mirroring what Johnny Lawrence was like at the beginning and reverting to old behaviors.
I think Robbie is so lost right now.
Yeah.
He's very lost. He's very, very lost. So I hope he's in the season a little bit more next season. Well, he most likely will be, but he was just so lost. I don't know.
So, and basically once we get into expectations for season 4, we'll get into all these different arcs that either tied up loose ends, switched up literally by the end of the season, and some that kind of reverted. So, but Sieg, your impressions of this, basically the Senseis. We'll get into John Kreese a bit more because he and Johnny Lawrence were the primary focus. Like Daniel does have, he does have a small arc, small rediscovery arc. But I think the primary focus this season of the Senseis was Johnny Lawrence and John Kreese.
Yeah, and I think Daniel's. See, you know what Daniel's arc this year led to? It led to the joining of the teams of the two karate.
A few of the karate.
Dojos. Whatever. Dojos. Thank you, dojos. Because Daniel is very much like, oh my God, you were mean to me in the past. I still hold that grudge. So he's very much like I'm stuck where Johnny is stuck in the past with his old bubble, you can see it outwardly. Daniel is very much internal. He'll see somebody and he'll remember everything that happened, and he'll take this defensive stance. And so I think
that was his awakening. By the end of the season, that was his awakening.
Yeah.
And so we'll see where it progresses there. But yeah, a lot of his conflict, at least his internal, because he looks at when he first saw Johnny Lawrence in season 1, it goes back to that defining match in the Karate Kid, and the bullying that he experienced, or at least on his
when
end.
He saw that Johnny reopened the dojo, Cobra Kai, he's like, what? They can't come back. They're horrible.
Yeah. Not giving John, not necessarily, basically giving Johnny a chance.
Not even a chance, not even the benefit of the doubt, nothing.
He immediately reverts to his, the negative experiences he himself went through with Cobra Kai, not thinking that, hey, maybe it's just a name. At least at that point, when he saw the opening of Cobra Kai, it's just a name at that point. It's not it wasn't John Kreese's Cobra Kai, and he wasn't even willing to give Johnny Lawrence a chance.
Yeah.
But Stieg, before we go into John Kreese, your impressions of Daniel's and basically Johnny's arcs throughout this.
I agree completely with Stephanie on this.
I agree here. Yeah, I love the
it's a Kreese and Johnny season. I also noticed that Kreese did that. That classic line, the enemy of my enemy is a friend. That kind of backfired on him in the end.
Yeah.
Because Johnny and Daniel came together because of him. So that's a little bit of self-fulfilling prophecy. I actually thought he was going to die because of that. In the last fight, it was very close to the snake cage. So that would mirror what happened to his sergeant back in the day.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for someone to get killed by the snake.
I didn't even think of that.
Didn't happen.
Either, but at the same time, like I told you earlier, that I wasn't really expecting anyone to die there because of how it's setting up for the tournaments.
Yeah. So. I thought he might die and then Silver would take over. But
that'd be kind of like introducing Palpatine after Snoke dies.
Yeah, it's and as for Elizabeth Shue, she certainly had an impact on
both
Daniel and Johnny, and that means it wasn't just a cameo like other shows will do. They just toss someone in for an episode or something, and they have no real impact. You just get to see them again.
Yeah, because there was a line. There was a line that stood out to me, and that is like where she talks about there's three sides to a story. There's yours, and there's the truth.
And there's the truth.
And she's like, maybe you guys don't like each other because you see in each other like some of yourself.
Yeah, you're more like than you like to admit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and she was. She felt a little bit like a Miyagi replacement there, because that I imagine Miyagi would have said much the same.
Probably.
And the other cameos also paid off, right? The one in Okinawa, well, both of them.
Oh yeah.
See, I think Elizabeth Shue, like Daniel. Oh my gosh, Johnny. Since season 1, he's always like Allie this. Oh my gosh, she's on Facebook. Oh, he goes through that whole trying to impress her photo shoot with Miguel, like for this one person. So maybe, I don't necessarily want to say like it was a Miyagi moment for both of them, Daniel and Johnny, but definitely for Johnny, she had more of an impact on him for sure.
When I saw Johnny's
Geekland is a pair giving a fist bump. Thank you for the $3 super sticker, Geekland. I will be on your stream, and I still say Lost Jedi is very evil for not giving us the what the trivia is. But go on. Sorry, Staken.
Yeah, well, when I saw Johnny's Facebook message, that big wall, I told myself I'm gonna send a message like that to someone.
The novel.
I'm definitely gonna.
It's 80 pages.
It's 80 pages.
I'm gonna send one to you or Stephanie. Mark my words.
I'm not giving you my real name because you're not gonna find me on Facebook.
Oh no, sorry. I'm gonna do it on Twitter. Actually, I know your real name.
So, but let's basically get into John Kreese now, because now we have more of a background for him. Where he's still a villain. He's still a villain, but now we find out exactly how he was molded. How basically he was molded, where he started, and how he essentially came to be the John Kreese we know.
Mm-hmm. Now, when they started his backstory, did you think that he was the one in the football jacket?
I thought he was the one in the football jacket. I did, because I was like,
jacket, whatever it is.
Yeah, the jock. Essentially, I thought he was the jock, and I'm like, it kind of looks like him. Is that him? Is that supposed to be him? And then the proprietor, the diner proprietor, is like, Kreese, bust those tables. I'm like, oh shit, Kreese is the boss.
Yeah, he's the bus boy.
I didn't fall for that one actually.
No,
no, I figured there was trickery, because usually when people are bullies when they're older, it's usually because they were bullied themselves or something happened to them when they were younger. So it's just
no wonder he looks so much like him.
Yeah. That's why
you blame the controller, because he looked just like him, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked like him. That's why I thought it was he, because I thought, oh, the guy who looked like he could be a younger Kreese, and it's his son, so go figure. That's kind of like what threw me off. But yeah, I see what your point is, Dig, and that is people essentially become, not all the time, but there are some who become bullies who are bullied themselves. So they take on that behavior.
Yeah.
As they progress.
Yeah. And given his backstory, it's safe to assume that he might suffer from PTSD or has suffered from it too.
I would go with that as well, considering that basically knowing what I know of the well, it's not PTSD, but at least when soldiers are coming home, from World War II, Korean War, and so forth, it's called shell shock, and a lot of PTSD happened in Vietnam War.
Well, if he does, he's certainly playing into that, because at that meeting when they're trying to get the tournament back on, he plays into that. He's like, yes, he milks it. He milks it. I do love. With Kreese's backstory, that when he's done with his shift, I do bully him. Yeah. I do bully him.
Yep.
I do love that when he's done with his shift, he can't do anything to these people that are messing with him, because he's at work. He needs the job. we find out there's something wrong with his mom, so he can't jeopardize what he has here in the restaurant. But when he has the chance to do it, when his shift is done, and he sees the way that these guys are treating the girl, like, you think he's gonna get beat up. Like, at first you're like, oh man, we're gonna be meant to sympathize with Kreese. Are you kidding me? He was bullied. What in the world? And then he just comes out and he just messes these guys up. And it's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I see why he but helped out that younger girl. I don't know her name. What's her name?
Well, I think her name was Betsy or something like that. Betty. It's along those lines. She was the girlfriend of the jock in the scene, and basically her jock boyfriend like slaps her.
No, not his girlfriend. The younger girl in the Cobra Kai girl. Tori. Yes, thank you. When he comes and helps her, he's like, "You're a fighter. I can tell."
Yeah.
He sees a lot of himself in her. So that makes you understand why he goes and helps Tori. But you
have some. Sorry.
But you see that fighter in him. You see that kind of,
because he says like, I've been in more scraps or something like that. So he basically, like, in so many words, is implied that this is not his first fight.
Yeah,
He is not the first time he's had to defend himself. So, well, like you said, like, he can't do anything when he's during his job. After his job, we see like he actually can take care of himself. He actually can defend himself, and he basically defends the honor in a way of like the jock's girlfriend, who becomes his girlfriend as as a result, because her jock boyfriend is smacking her around in the alley because she had the audacity to smile at John Kreese. So basically, like that's the start of John Kreese's story that we see in this show, and it progresses to Vietnam, and that's where we see him really get molded into what we know of John Kreese when we see him in the first Karate Kid movie.
I thought, speaking of Tori, I made a note of something about her. She's 16 or 17 years old, right?
The
character. And she's looking after her sick mom and her little brother. That's a hell of a lot of stuff to put on a teen. So she has built up rage and frustration, obviously,
and most likely an ulcer.
Yeah.
And all through the season, you kind of see her mentioning that she's working a second job, and the guy kind of tries to blackmail her into doing stuff, and you could see she's kind of considering it too, and so the only time she is in any kind of control is when she does karate, right? That's the only control she has in life. And I'm wondering if that is a little bit what's happening with Kreese as well. The only control he has is when he is being a sensei in Cobra Kai.
Perhaps because basically, like, the time when we see him, like, in Vietnam, at least the scenes that we see him in, we don't exactly know his rank, but we know it's a low enough rank because he's recruited by this captain while he's deployed in Vietnam to do these covert 4-man missions, basically behind enemy lines. So he still doesn't, like, basically up and like even through Vietnam War, he does not have the control that we see him have when he's a sensei. Yeah. So like,
I always thought that was very similar to Tori.
Yeah. So they're basically like, in a way, kind of like how he took advantage of the strain in the relationship between Johnny and Robbie. He kind of took advantage of the strain that Tori was going through to kind of position himself as a father figure to both. Not just a mentor and a father figure for them to almost
yes, because it benefits him. It benefits him.
Yeah. Almost like a cult-like mentality, where it's like to the point where it's like now they are Cobra Kai for life, and he's almost I don't want to say brainwash them, but he's taking advantage of a lot of things. Like
I think
he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't show mercy. It doesn't matter how old these people are. It doesn't matter. If he's taking advantage of them, then he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing, and he shows no mercy. I mean, he doesn't. It doesn't matter who this kid is. Even if he sees himself in Tori and he wants to help her, sure, but it still benefits him in some way. Yeah.
I agree with this, Will, and that's part of the reason why we were worried. Steph and I were worried, at least, watching his backstory, and then we were like, "Oh, are they going to make him a sympathetic person?" Or are they going to?
Yeah, I was really worried that they were going to do that.
They did it because him not climbing back out of that, him not snapping back out and say, "Hey, this is not me."
Mm-hmm.
Like you see, like, yes, this is where he was molded, but at the same time, you can't really sympathize with him because he does not go through that self-reflection and say, "Hey, this is not me."
He doesn't have self-reflection. He doesn't see the flaws in himself. If anything, he plays into them even more, and he revels in it, and he enjoys it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think Stephanie hit the nail on the head when he doesn't really care about the students. They're a means to an end.
Yeah.
And when he was helping Tori, he was currently looking for a new potential champion.
Yeah.
And he was looking at what's his name? The guy with the stupid haircut.
Oh, Hawk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Hawk.
He was basically probing both of them and others, and it was during the same time period, right?
Yeah.
He's because it gets to a point where he even kicks out students in his dojo for being weak.
Yeah. He kicks them out. It doesn't matter if they are Cobra Kai for life. They were there. They fought for him. They got into fights at school and got in trouble. It doesn't matter. He was scouting for athletes, and he pitted them against one another. Yeah. And if you lost, you're out.
Yeah.
He wants the best. He wants the best. And it doesn't matter if you're crying. It doesn't matter if you have paid your dues for that month. You're out. Sorry.
It doesn't matter to him.
He kind of gave Tori a bone when he helped her, right? And he kind of did the same with Hawk when he let Hawk beat up his enemy.
Oh, yeah.
To beat him to a pulp. Which was, I thought it was, it felt like he was probing both of them to see if they could be a champion and stuff like that.
$15 super chat from Mr. J, dropping a quick super chat and running out. Haven't watched season 3, so don't want to be spoiled. Peace. So thank you for the $15 super chat, and hopefully you enjoyed this season. I hopefully you enjoyed the season because I very much enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to season 4. But yeah, he was. This is a person who it's all about him. It's all about his dojo. And he said it's addition by subtraction, basically. Mm-hmm. We are adding to our strength by subtracting the weakest elements of us. Exactly. And that means kicking out students just because they lost a randori or a sparring match, pretty much. He'll do it.
Yeah. It's he's culling the herd.
Yeah. I mean, he's teaching them in a dojo that was rebuilt by Johnny. He stole the dojo from Johnny. He does not give a crap about anyone. He doesn't care. And the only reason that he wants to team up with Johnny towards the end is because he knows that he could benefit it would benefit him by having Johnny side by side with him. Johnny has Miguel. Miguel is the defending champion. So that would benefit him. It would benefit Cobra Kai. Yeah. So he doesn't care. He does not care one bit. And he has a backup plan. If Johnny does not help him, he has Silver. So he really doesn't care. He does not care. And you see that in his backstory. He made the mistake. He made the mistake of showing mercy, and he's not going to make that mistake again. You know, his captain, they were free. They were getting rescued, and his captain was like, okay, they're here. You can let me up. Yeah. You can help me up. He didn't have to kill that guy. but
No.
he did anyways. He's like,
Yeah.
sorry.
I won't make that mistake again,
Yeah.
because where Steph brings up the mercy part is that, like, part of their missions, I guess, was to I don't want to say blow up an enemy camp, but it looks like they were setting explosives because he has a detonator next to him, and his friend who's setting the explosives is still there, and his captain is telling him, blow it. They're spotting us. They're hearing the radio that's going off, because the static occurs on the radio from, like, the other guy that's holding the radio next to Kreese. Like, they're hearing us. Blow it. Just blow it. Just blow it. And Kreese does not want to kill his friend. He does not want to kill his friend, so he hesitates. He shows mercy, and they're captured. That's the situation, basically. And that's the knife that the captain, like, digs into him as they're, like, sitting in that cage, that bamboo cage.
And his friend dies anyways.
Yes,
The one that he tries to save, or the one that he showed mercy to, or he dies anyways, because they capture them and they kill his friend right away.
Yeah, right in front of him.
Right in front of them. Yeah.
Also, let's not forget, if Daniel hadn't showed up at the end, Kreese would have killed Johnny.
Oh, yeah. Yep, and we are going to get into that, because speaking of Daniel, now we are basically going, like, we've talked about Johnny, we've talked about Kreese, and Daniel has his little rediscovery, and he goes back to Okinawa.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful. I loved how when he went to Okinawa, like I said before, he's still very grudge heavy. He remembers things the way they were.
Yeah.
And that's how he has it. That it's very internal with Daniel. He remembers things how they were, and that's it. Nothing changes for him.
Yeah.
So I love how, like, when he gets there, he's having all these memories of, like, when he visited when he was there, like, 20 years ago or whatever. And when he gets
a little over 30 years ago.
Was it okay? Well,
about 30 years ago. Yeah.
I can so relate to that because if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, he says like, he gets into the cab and he's like, Tomi Village, and he's picturing in his mind the last time he was at Tomi Village was, like, going on 30 years ago. So he's picturing a little fishing village, and the cab driver pulls up and says, we're here, and he gets out, and it's a shopping.
It's just a huge shopping mall.
You know what?
It's all concrete. Like, it's so modernized. And I love that they did that. I loved that they did that. I love that it wasn't the way it was in the Karate Kid.
I hated it so badly because every damn time I see on the local news that they built a new road or something, or put up a factory on the island I grew up on, I get pissed. Seriously, the day is ruined. And I'm like, why build a road across those beautiful hills? What's the point? People can walk. And,
I get that. But this is basically...
This relates to his story, though. This relates to what he's going through. So I love that. I love that they did that. I love that they did that. Yes. Yeah.
Let's turn them into good soldiers, pretty much.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman, hello. Hey, and so basically, he gets almost a rude awakening. Essentially, he gets out of the cab, and it's like, this is not the way he remembers it, and that's the lesson he has to learn, that he has to come to terms with. He and Johnny Lawrence are both, in a way, stuck in the past, and they both have to move on, and Daniel has to. This is like, he doesn't exactly, until the end of the season, he doesn't exactly move on, but this is the start of his lessons. Like, hey, stop focusing on the past. Stop focusing on the past. And he learned a lot of that, not just from Kamiko, who was his love interest in the second movie, but Chosen.
Chosen. I love that he learned it from. I love that he. I love the way that they introduced Chosen back in.
Yes. Oh, that was awesome. I love his introduction. Like, he comes in and he's like, just like grimacing. He's like just scowling at Daniel. And I love that awkward conversation. Like, it's like, you're what does he play? Like, master of your domain. You ever see Seinfeld? And Chosen is just like staring at him. He goes, oh, you're more of a friends guy. Okay. Like, he just like.
Yes. But when he comes in, when he sees Chosen, you see Daniel sitting there, and he's like this. He's like ready to fight.
Yeah.
Like, do you really think that this guy is going to fight you in the middle of this restaurant or bar wherever they're at.
Yeah,
Yeah, like he's like that. He's like ready to fight. So it's all internal. He does not see an older chosen there. He sees a younger chosen, who wanted to kill him. And I mean, even by the end of like the second Karate Kid, even by the end, Chosen, showed a little bit of shame.
Yeah.
And he helped Daniel, but Daniel doesn't remember that. He doesn't remember that. He just remembers the negativity, the negative impact that it had on him.
And the lady tries to tell him that he's not the same person.
Yeah.
And Daniel doesn't. He just dismisses it.
And I like that Chosen plays into it. I love that Chosen. I love that he plays into it. He plays into it so much. It's like he saw Daniel and he saw how because
Miko had a little bit of hand into it. It's like, you need to kind of Daniel's here and like you need to kind of like I don't know how to put it. It's like, tease him a little bit, because he has to learn. Like, I think Miko knew in a way that Daniel had to learn a lesson because like their conversation, going over the letters from Miyagi to Kamiko's aunt, and how her aunt would say things like, you put good into the world, good will come back to you.
Yeah.
Basically. And this is Daniel's way of learning that lesson.
Yeah, he's learning that. But I love how Kamiko tells him, like, he's changed.
Yeah.
But Daniel does not see that. He doesn't see that, and Chosen is just totally like playing into it. He's like,
like Daniel's like, this guy wanted to kill you. Like he changed. Like things. Because
I'm so hoping though that this isn't the last we see of Chosen. I hope he shows up in future seasons, and I want to see him have a fight with Barnes.
I want Barnes to come back. Like when I was done with my binge, I was like, okay, next season, please, Barnes and Silver. I want to see both those characters. But yeah,
I'll see Chosen again as well because you basically have those dueling dojos in a sense, and like Chosen is basically like he's changed, and in a way he helps Daniel because he's like basically like your sensei was taught by this guy who also taught my sensei, so we in a way are connected. Like with that, because of that, and he taught Daniel a thing or two that Daniel did not learn from Miyagi.
Yeah,
it came back at the end of season 3, and I think we're going to see again in season 4.
Right, because he's been teaching his kids Miyagi Do, and it's self-defense karate, and Chosen is just kind of like, well. Yeah, but if your enemy insists on war, then you have to
take away his ability to wage it, which I think is a very Sun Tzu philosophy. In a way,
it's like if someone keeps slapping or something, you cut off their arms.
Something like basically, like he says, take away their weapons in a sense, like take away their ability to attack you. It's like not exactly taking out that person, but just taking away their ability, because he teaches Daniel these pressure points. That once you strike them, basically that's what I love about this scene, because you think it's going to be like head to head, like enemies fighting enemies and so forth, but Chosen is teaching Daniel at the same time, and he hits Daniel in these pressure points on his arms to the point where like Daniel's arms are numb.
Yeah, his arms are numb.
Have him in that position where he again it harkens back to the first 2 movies, and that is like he pulls Daniel's head back and then does that.
He's like, and of course, because Daniel is just thinking about when he did it to Chosen, and he thinks that he's getting his revenge. But it's so incredibly silly because it's like, do you really think he's going to kill you? Do you really think he's going to hurt you?
Yeah.
But Daniel really thinks that he's going to do these things because he's internally he's in the past.
Yeah.
So I think that was such a good lesson for him. Like, dude, let's move past it.
It's been 30 years. Like, move past
it. Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna like. He's like, this is basically Chosen's way of saying, like, you're the only one who's been holding a grudge against me. I have not held a grudge against you.
Exactly. And I love after Chosen does that whole honk.
Yeah.
He starts laughing.
Yeah,
like
he
starts laughing. He's like, yes, I've been wanting to do that. I finally got you. And he starts laughing. You see a totally different. You see finally the Chosen that Kumiko was talking about. He's changed. Yeah, you see that. You see that now. It's so funny.
And that's so like again, it's like, you know, in a way, basically with the lessons from the letters and things like that, and Mr. Miyagi's presence still being there, and Daniel realized like Daniel's like he's still like, you know, as much as he thinks he's learned throughout like the years since he became Mr. Miyagi's student and things like that, he's realizing, I think slowly but surely, but he still has a lot to learn. Because at that point now he's like, it's almost like basically like life smacking him on the backside of the head and going like, you need to move on.
And you know, I love that. I love that this season, because if there's one thing that I didn't really, I don't know, it was like my one little critique with Daniel and his wife was that, God, they were like, oh, why are you so freaking high and mighty? Because you're like the hero of Karate Kid. He came across as very pompous. And like, I'm very much better than you, and I'm always right. I learned all of the correct lessons because Mr. Miyagi was my teacher. I learned all the correct lessons. Your teacher was John Kreese, and you're always wrong. You learned the wrong way. I learned the right way. And I love that this season, they both Daniel and his wife kind of were like, you know, sit down, like at the PTA meeting. They're like, excuse me, you don't talk about, who said that about my daughter? Yeah. And these parents are like, dude, sit down.
Yeah.
You know, they're like,
yeah.
And they both sit down. They're kind of like, oh, okay, maybe we're not right. Maybe we do need to kind of look at the situation a different way.
So I'm gonna say real fast, $2 super chat from Sky Trooper 504 is a very interesting one. Ewan Mackay Ground follows the White Rabbit. So thank you. Thank you for the $2 super chats.
The White Rabbit.
I
don't get it.
So basically, like I said, like that's Daniel's arc, and I really would like to see Chosen come back. But like, you know, the finishing up of Daniel's not arc, but his rediscovery in Okinawa, and that is they brought back another character that you wouldn't even expect them to bring back, and that was the girl that Daniel saved. Because the reason why we kind of skipped over this, the reason why Daniel goes to Okinawa, or at least goes to Japan initially, is because his business is literally on the verge of collapse.
Yeah,
because his competing dealership run by Tom Cole, and I think, did we even see him in the second season? Really, I know we saw him primarily in the first season, but he wants to buy Daniel's dealership, and the reason why he wants to buy it is because he knows that by the first of the next month, Daniel's going to essentially lose a major manufacturing sales customer in Doyoma.
Yes, due to bad press from the school fight, putting Miguel in a coma.
So,
and Miyagi-Do being behind that, or one of the.
Or at least the accusations of Miyagi-Do being
one of the two karate gangs.
Yeah, I laughed at that. I was like, "Oh my god, they had to go that route."
Yeah, that was a real backbreaker for his company, though.
Oh god. but so basically, that's why he's going to Japan. Is basically to salvage that relationship, because like to save that business relationship. Otherwise, if he loses that, and other manufacturers and sales see this and they pull out, his business goes under, and like he's basically worth nothing. And it so happens the girl he saved in the second movie is the vice president of sales for Doyoma.
Yeah,
that one I thought was too convenient, to be honest. But a lot of the '80s movies were like that, so I forgive it. It did have a message.
Yeah, a little too convenient, but at the same time, it plays into that message from Kimiko's aunt's Yuki's letter, and that is, you put good into the world, and he put good into the world by saving that girl during the typhoon. Guess when good will come back to him. Came back about 30 years later, but it comes back to him. So I like, yes, it's a little too convenient story-wise, but I see where they were going with it. I see where they were going to, because this is a moment where Daniel's like, he wants to be in control. He wants to be in control, and just about every instance for his trip to Japan and into Okinawa, he's not in control. He's basically like he is being guided by Miyagi and Kimiko's Aunt Yuki, Kimiko herself, and Chosen. They're the ones who are going, you have to move forward. You have to embrace that. Guess what? You can't control everything in life. You can try, but you can't. But sometimes when you think you're at your lowest, when you think that nothing good can come, guess what? It will come. It will come. That's the lesson that Daniel had to learn in his trip to Japan and Okinawa. Oh God, sorry, I was reading the private chat. Peter Han, Karma, in a way, Karma, and yes, they were the same actors. They were the same actors and actresses. They brought back the same actors and actresses from the second movie. That's what I love about this series. It's not like they're like recasting these parts. They basically we're going to bring back Kimiko and Chosen. They went out and found the actor and actress themselves.
Yeah, and Chosen, to be honest, he has become a way better actor than he was in Karate Kid 2.
Mm-hmm.
He was great in this season.
Oh, yeah. He was.
I loved him. Like that. Those scenes, the Okinawa scenes, I think were my favorite to stand out. So when their interactions, were probably my favorite in this season. That's why I hope Chosen comes back in season 4. So an anime night, good evening. At least they kept the original cast. This is again love that about all three seasons because they bring back the original cast from the movies, whether good guys or bad guys. So now we have Chosen, we have Kimiko, we have from the second movie, and now they're setting it up with the flashbacks to the third movie in this season to see Silver and Mike Barnes and maybe season 4. We'll see, but they're definitely setting it up that we at least see Silver.
Wasn't there another love interest too in season 3?
Yes.
In the third movie.
I don't really want them to bring her back because, I don't see
Allie is enough.
Yeah,
Allie and Kimiko are enough, I think, at this point, because we don't need to see a progression of his love interest before he married his current wife.
Right. I don't really see the point in bringing back the pottery girl. I don't remember her name.
Because Allie and Kimiko, in a way, help Daniel and Lauren and Johnny to progress.
Right. She had there was a real purpose for Allie being there, especially since they mentioned her multiple times in season 1 and 2 with Johnny's not obsession with her, but kind of this door that kind of needs to be closed, closure. They both needed closure. Yeah. And
like I said, they at least help Johnny and Daniel progress. I don't see that the actress that was his love interest in the third movie helping Daniel even progress.
Yeah, Jessica.
I actually honestly can't even remember her name. I have to go back and watch
it. Jessica. Her name is Jessica.
Raging Rhino, Allie was awesome. Yes, I loved her scenes and basically, and also we kind of talked about Kimiko and how she helps Daniel in his basically path of rediscovery. Now we have Allie, who comes back later in the season, and they subvert your expectations literally at the beginning of the season because they set up the fact that she's a doctor in the second season, so you think that she's going to be the one to fix Miguel's back, and she's not.
I know. I didn't even think that.
I actually thought that.
You did. I didn't even think that. I was just. Yeah, that would be again just some convenience right there.
Mm-hmm. But they in a good way subverted your expectations. And so we're not introducing Allie now, but she comes back in at a pivotal moment near the end of the season.
Here's the thought, though. We kind of know that Silver's going to be back, and it's safe to say Barnes will as well.
I really hope both of them.
But what if Barnes comes back and he's not a bad guy? Because Chosen had changed.
Yeah.
What happened to Barnes?
See, the other thing is, I don't think that Chosen like I said, he felt shame, and there's like a lot like to be said about like honor in Japanese culture, and to the
And
point where
he even talked about it because at the end of the Karate Kid Part 2, you see that shame in Chosen towards the end at the end of the movie.
What like
he helps Daniel towards the end of the movie. Barnes, so it makes sense for his character now to be helping out Daniel, or to you know what I mean, like for him not to really hold grudges with Daniel. Barnes, on the other hand, though, there was none of that.
So we'll see. Like, I don't expect him to come back in the same, like, at least in how Chosen changed. But we'll see what they do with the characters. Whether or not he comes back is another thing, but they're definitely setting up Silver returning.
Yeah.
And now we know how many seasons there's going to be.
Yeah. And Stieg,
it
was a little bird that told me. I guess originally they were planning for like 4 seasons, like give or take. Now, Ralph Macchio is coming out and saying they have enough story for 6 seasons.
That's
so
great.
We might get 3 more seasons following this one. We'll see. Well, it's a double-edged sword, and Steve and I were talking about that. Where like 4 would wrap it up nicely, but if they have enough to pull out 3 good seasons after this, then bring it on. That's that's all I care about.
Yeah, the longer a show goes on, the greater the chance of them screwing it up.
Exactly. And I can see how they would have enough for 6 seasons. I like that they already hinted in season 2 when Daniel's teaching his daughter, when he's teaching Sam the lesson about fear, he's thinking about his fight with Barnes.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I'm afraid. That's already hinting at, hey, we might bring back this guy.
Yeah.
And so that could play into him and his daughter's relationship. If they end up bringing back Barnes, he could help her with her fear and her internal anxiety that she's going through with Tori. But Silver, they'll definitely bring him back. But I don't know. If they do have enough for 6 seasons, I hope that they're like good seasons, because you can only pull so much scenes from the movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, as long as the seasons at least progress in the way that they are like these first 3 seasons, then I will be all for it. I don't want it to go for so long that a lot of the episodes end up being filler. That's my concern right now. Is like, how much exactly can you, because you can only really go off the first 3 movies. You can't exactly introduce the next Karate Kid, because that's not Daniel.
No, that's not. Yeah, and if they bring her in, she can be like, "Oh yeah, I knew
Mr.
Miyagi." That would be like that would be a kind of a reach.
Yeah, that's so really they can only go off of the first 3 movies, and there's only so much that you can reflect back on with those first 3. Now, can they do it? They've shown that they could do at least 3 seasons of that. So
and 3 excellent seasons at that. I really love all 3 of these seasons. They're fantastic.
I think Robbie's mom is going to play a bigger part in the next season, because she's probably going to come out of rehab soon.
Yeah, that's another one. Just like real briefly, touch on her character. Like, if you've watched the first 2 seasons, she was not the best mom to Robbie. That's why, like, Robbie is so messed up. You have Johnny Lawrence abandoning Robbie and his mother, and then his mother being basically an alcoholic.
Yeah, she was one of those things that she's the thing that got me banned from Twitter.
Yes.
What?
It rhymes with Danky Bow.
Okay, God. Okay. All right. But basically, yeah. But in season 3, you don't really see her a lot, but you see her trying to better herself for her son. She's basically in rehab when you see her. So whether or not she's still in rehab when you see her in season 4, I don't know. But at least she's trying to get better. She's kind of like, she's doing it in her own way, the same way Johnny's trying to do it in his own way. And yes, Johnny's not doing it perfectly, but he's trying to better himself, and he's trying to correct the screw-ups the major screw-ups he did, especially with his son, like when he wasn't there for him. So we'll see. But speaking of like segueing into like the teenagers, basically, because you brought up Sam.
Also, side note, I wouldn't say his job interview went well either.
Oh my god.
That was actually like
that was great.
Yeah.
That was great. I love how when he's talking to him about like his past arrest, he's like, it feels good to really talk about this, you know?
Yeah.
Also, when he boasted about how he'd spent hours of training in learning how to use Facebook.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not a win, Johnny.
Well, like, he's like basically assault and battery on minors, but they were dicks. He's talking about basically his arrest when he beat up those 3 or 4 guys who were messing with Miguel in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
But he, like, but they were pricks. Like he like kind of like says that, and I like started laughing about that. But like kind of like again sad because he's trying to turn his life around, and he's now. Because of his screw-ups, and he's going to be like, he's not blaming anybody else but himself. He can't really get a job that easily because of his records.
Yeah.
You know what annoys me though?
He's trying to help Miguel.
Yeah.
And it's just like he's thinking of other people. He's thinking of others. He's putting others before himself. Whereas before he wouldn't care.
No.
You know,
he
would have gotten a job that would pay the bills and buy beer, and
he even breaks down and goes to his stepfather to try to like get a loan because he wants to open up his own dojo again, and he's having difficulty finding a job. He can't sell any of his stuff because it's worthless pretty much. He's not thinking about himself. He wants basically because he's helping Miguel get better, and one of the ways he's going to help him do that is getting him back into karate again. And the way to do that is to set up his own dojo. And his stepfather is, again, a dick about it.
One thing bugs me, though. Johnny was trying to sell an old original Atari.
Okay.
The guy should have bought that one. That's actually worth a bit.
Well,
it's worthless junk, Steve.
Yeah.
It is not, madam.
The guy said so. It's worthless junk.
I like when he tries to sell. Okay, just real fast. Part of the car that
tries to sell
Johnny is driving is a '93 Dodge Caravan, and the reason why he's driving a '93 Dodge Caravan is that's the car that Robbie steals to make his getaway when he's like on the run from the law at the beginning of the season, and he even tries to sell that car to him. So the guy pulls out the Kelly Blue Book and he goes, "Worth absolutely nothing." Go away.
I badly need an Eagle Fang karate shirt.
Oh, that's
my god!
That's another thing when he's trying to come up with names, and he's like, let's keep it Cobra Kai, but change the C to a K, and it's Cobra Kai Karate. And Miguel's like, the KKK, and he's like,
no, I love when he pulls out the shirts and he's like, Eagle Fang, and that one kid's like, but eagles don't have fangs, and he just throws the shirt in his face.
No. What I love about that scene, he's like, "What's the only animal that can kill a cobra?" And the kid's like, "A mongoose."
A mongoose.
And he's like, "A real animal." And he's like,
"A real animal."
So that's what I love about Johnny Lawrence, essentially. But all right, so basically now we're like segueing into the teen characters because you have Miguel.
Sorry, Miss Martin Muses has just ordered an Eagle Fang shirt. Miss Martin, don't buy more shirts. You know what happened last time.
So
she bought one of mine, and 2 days later she had COVID.
Yeah, we're blaming Stieg for that.
Yeah, stay away from my Teespring thingy.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So basically, we're gonna try to. Not exactly speed through this because, like I said, I go on Geek Plan's channel in about half an hour. But like the teen characters also, in a way, have their own arcs in the season. They progress from season 2 to now. You have Miguel, who, and I love because in the first episode he's still in a coma. He like doesn't wake up until the very end of that episode. But the times you see him in that episode when he's not in a coma, he's in a karate match. But that's a representation of his struggle, his internal struggle to wake up.
Right.
And when he finally wins the match is when he wakes up.
And he needs the encouragement of his sensei to do
Yeah,
so.
because up until that
So
point,
that just shows the importance.
Yeah.
It's setting up the importance of the senseis for the season.
Mhm.
I was sure setting his shoe on fire would work.
Oh my god,
That was
I love it's like you
Yeah.
felt like a champ. Good job. It's like you feel like he's like trying to help Miguel, but you would think that, but then at the same time, Miguel's like, my foot and leg were on fire and I didn't feel a thing. So then it's again Johnny Lawrence putting like someone else before him. He's looking up what can I do to help him. He actually at some point writes a list down. And he's trying to figure out how to help him. And one of the options is LSD.
LSD.
Yeah, like
oh my god! When I saw that, I was like, oh,
he's like Tony Robbins. He writes Tony
Robbins. He just writes his name.
So, he actually wrote that down. Peter Hahn. It didn't go anywhere, but he's like trying to come up with stuff to help Miguel. Real fast, Geek Haven on Jan 86. If you want our thoughts on Wonder Woman 84, I'm plugging her channel. We do a 3-hour discussion. Spoilers.
Yes, we did.
Our thoughts.
And it's still there.
Yeah. So, but basically, half of the season, or at least a chunk of the season, Johnny Lawrence is helping Miguel walk, and I love that. Like Miguel starts getting better when Johnny starts helping, because up until when Johnny starts helping, his mom has him with a licensed physical therapist who's literally
a weirdo,
literally a hippie.
Yeah. It probably puts melon and shit in his. Probably puts melon and stuff in his coffee.
Yeah. Tony.
No
Robbins,
negative vibe.
Motivational hypnotist. So, basically,
he's banana hands.
He is tall. Damn it, he is tall. Yeah. But anyway, look him up. You'll see why he put down Tony Robbins. But So you have not essentially really all the teen characters, but in a way, you have some flipping the script. In a way, you think their characters would go one way based on how they progressed from the first to the second season, and then you have ones reverting to bad behavior. So, on that note, basically we'll look at the dynamic of what Hawk goes through and what Robbie goes through. Because Hawk is the one that flips the script, and Robbie is the one who reverts back to the bad behavior we saw him doing, essentially, in season 1.
Right. So Robbie was trying to be better. He's bettering himself, trying to prove to his dad, I'm better. I can be better than you. Mm-hmm. That didn't really work out. No. And he ended up not being really upset, really angry at Daniel, and he doesn't trust his dad, the sensei that the father figure that he found, turned him in, and he thought that was just the worst thing that you could do to him, and so he doesn't trust him either. So he was very lost this season, but he also, you could tell that he needed somebody. He got very excited when he saw that his dad was coming to visit him, and he was anxious waiting for him, and ultimately disappointed when he did not show up. So Kreese's lesson, or not lesson, but what he tells him, you can't really count on people. Look, see what I told you? See, can't really count on people. So in a way, Kreese is being real with Robbie, and so he's like, all right, you're being real, let's see what this how this plays out. With Hawk, though, you kind of see I know karate, I have this mohawk, and I have this persona built up now, but with things that he's with the things that he's been doing to his friends, you can actually kind of see that guilt there. There's that guilt in everything that he does. He second guesses things. He looks back. Should I be doing this? You can see that he's thinking oh, I don't know. This is wrong.
You see him
see that internal struggle
part in the season. Yeah, the internal, in a way, he's remembering like how it was with him because he was bullied in season 1, which is why he basically, in a way, like what you said, Stieg, the bullied became the bully.
Right. Especially when they bring in the new people, the new athletes, and his bully, and he loses it.
Yes,
he loses it on his bully. Like, I think that was his turning point. Like, holy shit, who the hell have I become?
Yeah, for that,
he got it out of his system.
Yeah, because from then on, he kind of second guesses practically everything that he does, and the fact that he felt that shame when he hid it from Miguel that he broke his friend's arm. He hid it. He didn't tell him about it because there's that shame there.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how Miguel's going to act towards him after that when he learns about it.
Technically, though, he disarmed his opponent.
Yeah, but like basically, Hawk, real like from one way of putting it, literally laying into his like the kids that bullied him incessantly in season 1 was him getting out everything that was pent up for like 2 seasons. That's like why he reverted to that bullying behavior, because he himself never came to terms with that. And him actually finally having the opportunity, for one of a better way of putting that, to go after his bully. The kids that harassed him for years before he joined Cobra Kai. Yeah, that, like you said, stuff, that was his turning point. That was his epiphany. That was like, what have I become?
Yeah,
what have I become? And he even hesitated because he's the one who breaks Dimitri's arm, and you see the hesitation there as well. Because
you can see the hesitation, and Dimitri's after he does it, he looks back like
oh my God, what did I do?
He's not proud of what he did.
And even Dimitri, when he's screaming, it's like, I'm Dimitri. Like, what are you like? I'm like, I was your friend. What are you doing? Pretty much and that's what causes Hawk to hesitate. But then you have the Cobra Kai students egging him on, so he's literally like still stuck in the middle. He's still stuck in the middle at that point, and finally, like decides screw this during that big brawl at the end of the movie where he comes to terms with what he's become.
You see what triggers him, though. You see what triggers him. It's when they go to break his arm again.
Yes. Yeah.
He's like,
no,
this isn't going to happen. No. Nope. I'm picking a side and I've chosen it. And I'm not Cobra Kai anymore. So
it's almost like he's seeing himself.
Yes.
A few weeks ago.
Exactly. And I love when he goes to his friend and they have that little, as cheesy and corny as the choreography was, when they're fighting together. It was very much it was so choreographed. But it was still a really good moment for that character. For both of them. Because one that hit, God, what is his name? The kid who gets his arm broken, Dimitri. He has his friend back. His friend is back. Because you could tell,
brother in arms.
Yes, you could tell that even though he broke his arm, he was still he's changed, but I know that he's still a good person. Yeah. He doesn't really hold that much of a grudge towards him. So when they team back up, it's such a good moment for both of them. Because you have Hawk there and he's fighting alongside his friend and they're both yay. Yeah. It's a good moment for both of them.
That's very good. It's basically like I said, where it flips the script, where Hawk, it's like Hawk is going through his own character progression in this season, and it's a way of saying there's a writer's way of saying don't basically write these characters off. Essentially, don't expect Hawk to remain this way. Don't expect this character to remain this way because they turn it on you, and they do it in such a way that you're I can see that. yes, they're back. Like Hawk is back where he needs to be.
And you
Also,
know what? Raging Rhino. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
There's two fights going on there, right? It's Tori against what's her name?
Sam.
Yeah, and Tori does not have the Hawk moment.
No.
She goes batshit crazy with nunchucks, which is that's not just beating people up. That's actually a weapon.
And that's Sam learning the lesson that Daniel was like, instilling in her in a way like that he learned in a sense from the third movie, like when Ms. Miyagi's like, it's okay to lose to an opponent, but don't lose to fear. Because throughout the season, Sam was losing to fear because whenever Tori would show up, like again,
she would hide and she would hyperventilate.
Because he kind of had a little bit of PTSD from what happened between her and Tori from the brawl. And so when Tori, like you said, Steve, like goes batshit crazy with the nunchucks in that room, in that dojo, like part of the dojo, because that's where Sam runs to during the brawl.
Yeah,
it's Sam's awakening. It's like
I can confirm something though. The nunchucks, right?
Yeah.
My sister bought me a pair once, and I decided to start making moves with them. And
you decided to start making moves?
Yeah, they hurt.
Yes, badly. They hurt. So basically, you gotta watch because you really gotta watch when you use them.
Yeah, but, they're now on my wall as decoration, and they're gonna stay there.
Oh my god! Going back really quickly to Dimitri really quickly. What Rhino said in the chat, it's adorable.
Yeah,
that he said Dimitri kissing the hot chick. It's so funny. Yes, it was really funny, but you know what? I love that Dimitri didn't really have to change who he was for this hot chick to notice him.
Yeah.
That I really like that.
Like Yasmin didn't exactly play a big part in this season because like when you see her at the beginning of the series, she's the mean girl. She's the popular girl, basically. So she doesn't exactly have a big part in this season, but at the same time, you see her little character progression because she in a way is like using Dimitri to get an A in science, but then she sees what's happening to Dimitri, and like you see her going. Like that's crap. Like, why are these kids doing that?
No, it was still pretty shallow though, because she only wanted him when she thought that dick on his cast was an illustration of his. So
that's not true.
No. That was like that one's really big.
No,
that's not.
Wanted him.
That's not. Well, that's not exactly what she wanted, but she basically saw what the kids did to his cast because they're the ones who, like, the bullies drew that on his cast, and she's like, "I'm going to fix this," and so she writes in, "I can't say this; it's going to get clipped." But
say it.
Look straight into the camera and say it, Mara.
Yasmin writes.
We know it's quite a mouthful, but get it out.
Shut up. I love your big dick. And she writes that on that because like he's walking around with that thing on his cast. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to make this better for you. And so she signs the cast in that way. And that was like her saying, that was her turning point. That was essentially her turning point. Because she felt sorry for him, but at the same time, it's like, and they kind of have that little bonding moment.
Yeah, they bonded.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, basically, like, because like she's actually seeing him at that point. She's not just seeing him as a means to get an A in science. She's seeing him as Dimitri at that point. Yeah, you see that in how they like look at each other, and yes, they hook up a little bit later on. And I also love like what he says because they're still kind of hiding that a little bit. She's still kind of like not exactly admitting that because they're caught making out in the hallway, and by Miguel and Sam, and they're like, "Ooh, no, really?"
Yeah, no. They say that typical stuff to each other.
Yeah, and like, and Dimitri's like, it's like go murder some Dalmatian Cruella de Vil, and like he's 100% in love. I love that moment. Moment. But she also has her own little turning point in the series. Like, she doesn't exactly play a big part, but she does have her turning point in the season. So yes, it's a little cheesy, but I thought it was like really adorable how they played it out. So Sam and Tori have their big showdown, and that's when Sam learns a lesson that her dad was trying to impart on her from what he claims he learned, or because he still hasn't quite learned it himself, I would argue. But how Mr. Miyagi said it's okay to lose to opponents, not okay to lose to fear. And that's what Sam was losing to throughout the season. That was to fear. Because whenever Tori would show up, Sam would panic. She would have anxiety attacks. She'd have, it's like start.
She would hyperventilate. Yeah.
She was scared.
Mm-hmm.
He was losing to fear throughout the entire season. And that was her waking up. I think the moment she woke up in that part is when Sam, when she
knocks down the picture of Miyagi.
And Sam saw that. That was her going, enough. That was her, you saw the look in her eyes, and she's like, enough. I'm gonna stop losing to fear. And that's when she decided to stand up for herself. In that moment.
It's just again for me, it's just Mr. Miyagi is the heart of the lessons.
Yes.
He's the heart without actually being present physically in the show. And I love that. I love that in this show.
Mm-hmm.
They do it so beautifully in the show. They pay such homage to Miyagi's character with Daniel's family. It's so wonderful to see. I really enjoy that.
You know what? I see a lot of people pick up on that Miyagi had a presence in this one, and that speaks to Pat Morita's performance and the character itself, because that character is iconic, and this proves it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, very much so.
And
it also speaks to not only that, but it speaks to the writing of the show.
Yes,
how well it's done in this in this show. How well they're tying everything together, from the movies to the TV show.
And there's a lot of between the lines stuff going on, and the fact that the audience are picking up on it is a sign of tremendous writing skill.
Yeah. Okay. So so basically, we'll talk about this a little bit again, when Steph comes back. But basically, the season ends with not just the big brawl at amongst the teenagers, and where this happens is actually at Daniel's house, is where it happens, because Miyagi-Do students and as former Cobra Kai students, now Eagle Fang students, are they're the ones that start trying to come together to form one dojo, because they know that they can't exactly, if they want to defeat Kreese and Cobra Kai, they can't be separate. So they, in a sense, are trying to merge themselves. And then the brawl happens at Daniel's home, which leads to the showdown between, or among, I should say, Kreese, Johnny Lawrence, and Daniel LaRusso at the end of the season.
Yeah, that there's a little bit of symbolism there too, because Cobra Kai shows up to, the other two dojos try to get together to become stronger.
Yes.
Cobra Kai shows up to break that up.
Yes.
Right. But after the fight, the other two dojos are stronger because Hawk defected.
Yes, Hawk defects, and basically, it's like you said, self-fulfilling prophecy. That John Kreese was saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and it fulfilled in a way with Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang joining forces literally at the end of the season. So now you have two dojos merging to go against Cobra Kai and John Kreese.
Yeah. Which is, and I think Kreese gets that because he's calling reinforcements too.
Yes.
With Silver.
Yes. So we expect Silver to come in season 4.
Yeah, and I think that tournament is going to be an insane highlight.
Yes.
In this show.
Oh yeah, I think not everything, but a lot of it is going to be building up to that, because that played a huge part in the season. We don't see the All-Star tournament. However, that's a big motivating factor for all three dojos. And when they try to cancel the tournament because of what happened at the school, and how Miguel and Sam are the ones that basically save it, because they're the ones that say, like, this is not, don't blame karate. This is not karate's fault. Actually, karate is what helped us come out of our shells. It helped make us better, in a way, better people. So the tournament's back on, and now you have basically the brawl happen between Kreese, Daniel LaRusso, and Johnny Lawrence. Johnny Lawrence is the one that comes first and confronts Kreese because of what he saw, how Miguel looked. Because Johnny, goes to see Carmen, Miguel's mom, and then sees the aftermath of the brawl. And so he goes to confront Kreese, sees his son, and I think that's what makes Johnny Lawrence snap. In a way, I don't think he would have necessarily fought Kreese at that point, but because of what he saw Kreese was doing to his son and basically converting him to Cobra Kai mentality, makes Johnny Lawrence snap and actually attack John Kreese. So you have Johnny Lawrence and John Kreese going after each other to the point where Johnny Lawrence almost, in a way, he picks up a sigh at one point. And was it like Robbie kind of like comes in and says, tells him to not do that. But then Robbie goes after his dad because he blames Johnny and Daniel for everything that he's going through, which is, again, in a way, Robbie and Tori kind of have this victim mentality where, like, yes, they do go through a lot of shit, but they don't exactly blame themselves for their actions. Entirely.
Yeah. When push comes to shove, it's always someone else's fault.
Yes. So Robbie attacks Johnny. Johnny doesn't want to fight his son, but when Johnny's defending himself from Robbie, knocks Robbie out, essentially. So basically, it's like another thing that Robbie's pissed off at Johnny about, even though it's not Johnny's fault. Then you think John Kreese now has the upper hand because he takes advantage of the fact that Johnny is distracted by what he did to Robbie, and you think Kreese he could have killed Johnny at that point. He had Johnny in a chokehold, and you think not necessarily that's the end of Johnny, but Johnny's met his match. And then Daniel shows up, because now Daniel is pissed, because not only did they go after his daughter, they went after her in his home. So now, basically, the fight is now on close to home, literally. So that pisses Daniel off, and now you have the sparring match between him and Kreese, to the point where, again, we see the two dojos merge, Daniel's and Johnny's, because now they see that we can't fight Kreese alone, like each of us alone. Our strength is in teaming up.
Yeah. Oh, and we're missing one fight, though. I mean, Johnny and Daniel against the criminals.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that
one was proper 80s. It was like a tango.
Yeah, it's proper 80s. It's basically like, Daniel's trying to just talk his way through the situation, and Johnny's like, screw this, and he starts beating up the Chop Shop guys because they're trying to track down Robbie. That's the scene itself, which I loved. And car
chase, and
so
they actually mentioned Tango and Cash.
Yes,
that's the wife did on the phone.
Yeah,
and
Johnny corrects her, like, no, they're actually narcotics detectives, and she's like, oh, really? Are you cops?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so basically, we gotta start kind of wrapping this up because it's about 10 minutes to midnight, and we go on Geek Plan's channel. So whenever Steph comes back, we'll start wrapping it up. But basically, this season, by the end of the season, it sets up Silver returning.
Yeah.
Whether we see Mike Barnes is another question. I'd love to see him come back, but it definitely sets up Silver returning. With Silver returning, and if Mike Barnes shows up, then I hope to see Chosen come back. Like what Will said earlier in the chat, and what you had said before going live, that would be great to have the three senseis. You have Johnny Lawrence, Daniel LaRusso, and Chosen on one side, and then you have John Kreese, Silver, and Mike Barnes on the other side. So,
yeah, and Daniel has that scroll he got with the pressure point punching lessons.
Yeah,
and the
he used on John Kreese. He used on John Kreese during that fight.
Yeah, and he can teach that to the students.
Yes. So So they're basically there. There it is, folks. And when Steph comes back, hopefully she comes back pretty soon. But that's our breakdown of the season. I loved season 3, and I think Phil. Sorry, I saw your question earlier in the chat. Who's my favorite character in Cobra Kai? That actually is, in a way, a tough one. If like gun to my head, I would say Johnny Lawrence is my favorite overall. But there are so many good characters in this season, which is basically just like basically because of good writing. Where it's like you think like say for Hawk for example, you think he's going to progress the entirety one direction, like a linear progression of his character. And in this season, they say nope, flip the script, and he has his epiphany in this season, where he comes to terms with what he has become, and he doesn't want to be that anymore. So like there's like a lot of good character moments in these from most of these characters, from the old to the new, to the point where I can't wait to see where they take this show from season 3 into season 4, and if they have enough material for 3 good seasons into season 6. So we'll see. But as long as they get a wrap up with like a 4th season, and if they wrap it up nice and fine in season 4, I'll be fine for it to be like a nice short 4-season arc of a series. I'll be fine with that. So it'll be 4 good seasons of character progression. But we'll see. So, like I said, hopefully Steph comes back soon, because I gotta start really wrapping it up. But again, like, do you want to give your final thoughts, Stieg, on the show itself, and in particular this season?
I loved every damn episode. I was actually a bit pissed because I was getting tired, so I couldn't binge the final 3 episodes. So immediately when I got up, I binged them. The last
maybe Phil, maybe there's like, according to Ralph Macchio, there's enough story, at least according like what he knows from the writers, for 6 seasons. But we'll see what they do. There's at least going to be 1 more. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, possibly 3 more seasons, but definitely 1 more, which will bring in Silver and maybe Mike Barnes, because they're basically tying in a lot. They're tying up a lot of loose ends from the Karate Kid trilogy. Basically, yes, we have the next Karate Kid, but I don't exactly count that.
And you have that the one with Will Smith.
I don't count that either.
Jaden Smith is going to show up.
He better not. he better not.
Well, I'm giving the season a 10 out of 10. It was everything I wanted it to be and a hell of a lot more. So I have no complaints. It was awesome.
Yes.
And my favorite character is Johnny, easily. But of the new ones, it's Tori, because she has more depth, actually.
Well, they gave her definitely more depth in this season, because you see, yes, she does have that victim mentality because she blames everything and everyone else, even for her bad decisions. But at the same time, it's kind of like with John Kreese, where it's like you see how she was molded into like what she is. So
yeah, and she is still helping her mom and her little brother, though.
Yeah.
So she's not all bad.
No, she's not all bad. But I'm saying sometimes saying it's kind of like, she made the decision to go after Sam, but her regret was getting caught. Not that she went after Sam, or that she started that brawl, but that she and Robbie were the only ones caught. That's into her victim mentality. Because she still goes after Sam the entirety of the season, to the point where they have that final showdown at the end of season 3. Not final, I mean final for the season. Because I'm pretty sure they're gonna meet back up for another brawl in the coming season, because there's still bad blood between the two. But good timing stuff, because I have about 4 minutes before Geek Blend stream starts. So Steve gave his final thoughts. So I'm going to give your final thoughts real fast on the series itself and the season as a whole.
Well, I thought I thought that's what we did at the beginning.
Well, I mean, basically your rating, basically, your final thoughts, you basically a rating system almost, what.
This was a very good season. Really, really good. I You know what I like? That I love the fact that the characters that are used, or the characters that, even the minor characters, like the girl that Daniel saves from the second movie, she played a part in his business coming back. The girl that's the popular girl that's making out with oh my god, no.
Yeah, popular girl making out with Dimitri.
with Dimitri, she plays a part in his growth. No
That was a
character.
dick move.
I like the fact that no character in this show is wasted or meaningless. They all play a certain role. They're all a part of the story. There's no character that's just there to be there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
it's like so it's kind of like if you're not necessary for the progression of the story or of the characters, we're not going to include you in the show.
Just on that note, real fast, that's one of the reasons why you don't see the character Aisha in this season. And I was reading about that because they couldn't find a good place for her character progression in this season. So they said to explain her departure that her parents pulled her out and put her in a private school and things like that. So, but to your point, yeah, they couldn't find a good place. She would have been just a placeholder if they included her in the season.
Exactly. Yeah. If they can't, and there's nothing forced either, with the exception of like the girl that Daniel saves. I found that to be just a little bit convenient. Not too forced, but just a little bit convenient. I just think that everybody plays an essential part in the show. There's no character that's wasted.
Yeah.
If they don't need you, they don't include you.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Which is what makes this show so good.
Yeah.
There's just every single character there's a point to every single character.
Yes.
And I hope that next season, well, for one, I love the fact that Eagle Fang, as adorable as that is, it didn't really last very long because they combined dojos. I'm loving the fact that Johnny and Daniel are going to have to work together next season. That'll bring an interesting dynamic to both of them. They're going to be at odds, but in a different way, right? They're not fighting against each other. They're probably going to be at odds in, like, I don't know, their sensei style.
Sensei styles,
right. And I think that'll bring a new, more interesting dynamic to the show that they're going to have to like work together. And I'm looking forward to Silver. I really hope that they bring that guy back. And let's see what more he can provide, because like the last time, him and Kreese got like just wrecked, right?
Yeah.
By Miyagi. So we'll see what kind of a grudge he'll hold against Daniel. And Daniel just got his business back, but let's not forget, Silver is pretty loaded.
Yeah. He is.
Yeah.
He's loaded. He has a lot of money. Don't know what's happened between then and now, but the last time we saw him, he had a lot of money. So I'm not sure if that's going to play into like Silver teaming up with the other car dealer guy's business.
Oh, Tom Colt, yeah.
Yeah, because he was supposed to get the deal, and he didn't, because Daniel got it back.
Yeah.
So is he going to now help that guy because Daniel got his business back? So to compete, like, let's take his business out. Let's take him out professionally. So I think that I don't know. We'll see. But I think that's going to be interesting. And if they bring in Barnes, that can, again, like I said earlier, would play well into the lesson of fear that Daniel was teaching his daughter. So there's like really good subtle hints to them possibly bringing back these two characters.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. I just didn't like the way it ended because I was like, yes, let's go. Oh,
well, yeah.
Go. Okay, I see.
Yeah, Steve had to pop off because I had to pop off shortly as well. But yeah, like that's basically my thoughts are essentially going to mirror steps. If I were to give a rating system, I'd give it probably a 9.5 out of 10 with like very, very, very slight nitpicks here and there in the season. But overall, just loved it and would love to see where they go with the characters, how they can introduce Silver, how they can introduce Mike Barnes, how they could bring Chosen back. Like it's basically again, all in the writing and the fact that they are able to do this, continue from a trilogy. Like you thought, like basically a one and done trilogy, like with the Karate Kid movies, and say, hey, we can figure out more story to tell, and we can actually basically respect the old and introduce new, and yet still love both. Just basically, again, how other franchises can't figure this out is beyond me. But I'm looking very much forward to season 4. I'm probably going to start binging Cobra Kai again because like from season 1 on, because I love the episodes so much. I love what they did, even with the teenage characters and their progressions. I love the lessons Daniel and Johnny Lawrence had to learn in this season, and how they themselves came to terms with what they were fighting internally for different reasons. And joining forces by the end of the movie. So we'll see a very, very, very interesting dynamic in season 4. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for stopping by for the weekly stream. Maybe have another discussion a little bit again on Cobra Kai, because I feel like this is going to be a conversation that's going to be had for a while now because of how beloved this show is, and how maybe we can have another live stream in the future of what we'd like to see come within season 4 and beyond. So on that note, I'm going to say good night all. Thank you for stopping by. I will be jumping over real fast to the Geek Blend stream. Basically, it's starting now. If it hasn't started, it started now. So I got to jump over there. And if you're still up, I will see you over there. It's going to be trivia. It's going to be more pop culture discussion, and more fun to be had. So good night. Thank you all, and we'll see you next week, same time, same bad channel. Good night, folks.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.